Today on Upfront, concealed carry without a permit. The new push to expand Second Amendment rights in Wisconsin. Next, Republican Senator Dave Craig on his plan and response to critics who say it's irresponsible not to require training. Then another Democrat passes on the race for governor. Is money keeping some on the sidelines? And the race for state school superintendent. Has the nonpartisan office simply become another partisan race?
Covering the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Up Front with Mike Goucher.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Up Front. We begin today with the hot button issue of concealed carry and a new push to expand it in Wisconsin. Two Republican state lawmakers are proposing the Right to Carry Act, which they say would allow law-abiding citizens to carry a concealed weapon without having to get a license, pay a fee, or take a training course. Critics say it's irresponsible, but the bill's sponsors say it would simplify the process while protecting a constitutional right. We're talking more about this today with the bill's lead Senate sponsor, Senator Dave Craig of the town of Vernon in Waukesha County. Senator, it's good to have you back on the program.
Thanks for having me on, Mike.
So why do we need this legislation?
So there's a few different things that are going on. One, this is a constitutional right. This is a fundamental right laid out by the Second Amendment. Government should be examining that to determine and make sure that people aren't being infringed of their rights. Second thing is the fact that we have a law right now that while 300,000 people have applied and received concealed carry permits, we have an incongruity in the law where those of us who voted for the Act 35 in 2011, we had put that bill into place under the assumption that you'd be able to permitless carry in your vehicle. But what we've seen since then is under what law enforcement's calling a gap in the law, prosecutions of individuals who are otherwise lawfully carrying because of this
dropping their
gap.
kids off at school, may have a loaded gun in the car, something like that.
There is a separate issue related to that, but that is another very serious matter, where an individual who lawfully is carrying in their vehicle does come onto a school zone, which would trigger a state law against that right now, where an otherwise law-abiding citizen is now committing a felony by having that in the school zone, and that's another thing that we correct in the bill.
So the reaction from Democrats and from other people, some other people, is that why would we want to do something where we remove the training component?
So when we passed Act 35 in 2011, one of the standards that we had for training was something as minimal as hunter safety. Hunter safety has nothing to do with pistol training whatsoever. I've taken the course myself. My children will be taking it later this year. You learn zero about carrying a pistol. So let's just start with that as one of the baselines.
You're saying some of the training was simply not effective?
Simply not effective whatsoever. So then what you add to that is the fact that we've had 300,000 people who have permits, but we've allowed permitless carry in vehicles. We've allowed permitless carry in a person's place of their own place of business, all without ill effect. The fact that people have firearms in their homes all the time in Wisconsin without permits, and we haven't had ill effects. More importantly, you add to that, we have 12 states of political ideologies from Missouri to Bernie Sanders' own home state of Vermont. Vermont being the longest state in the union to have something like a permitless carry. And there haven't been any ill effects there. So what makes Wisconsinites any different? And at the end of the day, people who are hell-bent on conducting violence with a firearm are going to do that. The only people who are worried about the law are the law-abiding citizens. And if other states are doing this without ill effect, and we've had a level of permitless carry already here in Wisconsin without ill effect, why would we not break down that barrier? Let responsible citizens do their own thing, whether that be going through a mentor and having the training. But why make government require them to pay $40 for a permit, have to go through a renewal period, when that is a barrier to a law-abiding citizen's availability for protection?
You could understand, though, why some people might look at that and say, wow, why would removing a training requirement make us, wouldn't that make us less safe? Can't you see that as a typical human reaction to that?
I think that would be a typical emotional response, but then you have to look at the facts. And the facts are, again, in Wisconsin, you can open carry. So as long as you're not wearing a coat, you can open carry without a permit if you have a gun on your hip. Are there any ill consequences of that in Wisconsin of any measurable amount? No, there's not.
And I mentioned this earlier, but part of the law says that schools would no longer have to be gun-free zones. They could make that determination on their own.
Correct.
They could post that, and so people be aware of it. But also the fact that if you're in a car and say you're dropping off your child at school, you have a loaded gun in your car, it would be okay to be technically on school grounds with a loaded weapon when you drop off your kid. Again, is that good for public safety?
I think so. When you're in a situation where we know that people are carrying in their vehicles, permitted or unpermitted, you're allowed to do that in Wisconsin. But when you cross that margin into a school zone, an otherwise law-abiding citizen is now a felony. So that's a very, very serious consequence. So what you are forcing people to do is perhaps be out on their job site, be out and about publicly, having to run home, put their firearm, away in a responsible manner, and then come back to go get their child. Or you run the risk of an individual totally forgetting that they have the firearm with them just because it's human nature to maybe forget something like that. And now you've put them in jeopardy in becoming a felon just by having this problem in the law.
I've just got a few seconds left, but two quick questions. Is this something the public was clamoring for, or is this something that the National Rifle Association and certain interest groups were clamoring for?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I campaigned on in 2011. So I came into the legislature just prior to the Act 35 carry vote. And many individuals at that time were asking us to push harder and make sure that we have the full use of our Second Amendment rights. So this has been a concern of mine going forward. It's been a concern of many of my constituents for years, and many just law-abiding citizens who don't want to have the permission of the government to be permitted to use a constitutional right.
Final question, Senator. The future of this legislation. It was an interesting reaction from the governor, from Speaker Vos, from Senator Fitzgerald. Yeah, we're supportive, Second Amendment, generally supportive of this kind of thing, but they stopped short of saying they would support this specific piece of legislation. How much support at this time do you have for this?
Yeah, we've got more than 40 co-sponsors in the legislature between the Assembly and the Senate. Very broad base of support from Republicans from all over the state. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to have the support needed to get it across the finish line. And I think our leadership understands that when the caucuses and our constituents are pushing us to do something like this, like expand the Second Amendment right, I think at the end of the day, it'll become the law of the land.
Senator Dave Craig, the Republican from Waukesha County. It's good to have you on the program again. Thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks, Mike.
The Right to Carry plan is our question on Facebook this week. Do you think citizens should be able to carry a concealed weapon without a license, training, or a fee? Tell us by liking and sharing Upfront on Facebook. Coming up next on Upfront, an early take on the 2018 race for Wisconsin governor. Is money a big concern for Democrats? And is two-term Governor Scott Walker formidable in his expected bid for a third term? I'll be asking a Democratic strategist when Upfront continues.
Up Front with Mike Goucher, brought to you by the American Transmission Company.